All right, boys, here we are again with another Switch 2 video. These videos keep hitting. I don't know what it is. My last two Switch 2 videos, above 1,000 views. It's the content that's resonating. You guys seem to like it. And we are so freaking close to 100 subscribers. I said that if we hit 100, we will do our very first stream. We're at 78. Let's see how fast we can get to 100. I'm trying to see if we can hit 100 by the end of the month, but I don't know. Maybe an unrealistic expectation. But anyways, so the Switch 2 specs are out. Okay, and here they are. Now, before I even go through these specs, I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of this I do not know what it means. I kind of know somewhat. I could just see that it's better. But in the comments section, if you know about this, go ahead and enlighten me. If you're more nerdy than I am, tell me more about what this means. But as we see here, obviously, the Switch 2 is more powerful than the Switch 1. Nvidia said it's 10 times the power of the Switch 1. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little skeptical on that. But okay, here's something that I've seen on the internet. I've been seeing a little bit of discourse, especially on YouTube. And I'm not gonna call these guys out by name. I'm not gonna be that douchebag. You can probably figure out what kind of YouTubers I'm talking about. But I've been seeing, the thumbnails, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, the Switch 2 is incredibly powerful. It's this and this, it's this and that." We all knew that the Switch 2 was going to be more powerful, but listen, if you're thinking that the Switch 2 is going to run GTA 6, that we're going to get Monster Hunter Wilds, that it's right underneath a PS5, right underneath an Xbox Series S, okay, you're lying to yourself. Okay, you are delusional, and please stop. Okay, we're looking at a base PS4. That's the rumors that we heard even a couple years back, that the Switch 2 was probably going to be around base PS4. And like I said in my last video, I think base PS4 is fine. I think it's more than fine. We can't act like the PS4, like the graphics on the PS4 were trash, because they weren't. I think that's where graphics peaked. We really haven't seen anything else that's like, oh my gosh, maybe except GTA 6. GTA 6 looks very, very, very good. But we haven't seen something that's like, oh my gosh, this is like, to me, I think graphics have already peaked. Okay, and I think they peaked at the PS4 era. So the fact that we're gonna get a PS4 power in our hands, I think is great. Most people are not gonna know what this means unless you're a game developer. Then you know what this means. Okay, because a lot of miracles happened on the Switch One. They didn't look great. They looked awful. Like Hogwarts Legacy looks terrible on the Switch One. There were some impossible ports, and I'm actually excited to see what impossible ports can be brought over to the Switch too. I feel like the ports are going to be better. I really hope that 40 FPS is kind of the new standard. I think it would be good if 40 FPS was the new low, because I've heard that 40 FPS is much more smoother than 30, and it kind of meets in the middle. But again, when it comes to these specs, some people are mad. Some people are, they're upset. They're like, I can't believe this is all we're getting. Guys, you have to think about it again. It is Nintendo. I said that in my last video, and somebody's like, you're just lowering the standards down because it's Nintendo. Dude, obviously you don't know Nintendo's track record. They've never been in the business of creating a powerful console. They never have been. Since the GameCube, they have not cared about power. Before the GameCube, they kind of did care a little more about specs, but ever since the GameCube, they stopped caring about specs and went in a different direction. So, like I said, unless you're living under a rock or you were born during the Switch's life cycle, you know that Nintendo is not really about specs. This is really the only time they've kind of dived in a little bit into the specs, but even then, it's not too crazy. This is pretty much what we expected. Maybe a little bit better than expected. Now let's look at some of these specs. The one thing that I have questions about, there's going to be some criticisms here for all my friends here that hate Nintendo. Don't worry, there's some criticisms coming. I'm not understanding the CPU clocks. Why is the CPU clocked higher while in a handheld, and why is it lower docked? I'm not understanding that very well. Maybe it's, again, somebody in the comments can enlighten me why that is. But I know that there's game chat does take quite a bit of those cores. I think it might be the RAM. We might get to that. But game chat is pretty heavy on the performance, and I'm not a big fan of that, and I'll say why in just a second. Um, the GPU architecture, I guess, is very similar to NVIDIA's RTX series, particularly I think the RTX 30, and I think the performance of the GPU is going to be roughly around the RTX 2050 Ti, somewhere around there. I may say that graphics card wrong, but I know RTX 2050. I'm pretty sure is the performance that we're looking at when it comes to the GPU. Runs games like Control, which is a very graphic intense game at 30 frames, maybe with DLSS and maybe with optimization. Um, we might be able to get more frames, better performance. I've seen articles from other developers saying that they're happy with the Switch 2 specs, that it's actually a lot easier to develop for rather than it was on the Switch 1. They have a lot more to work with. I heard one developer said that it's like a mid-tier PC performance level. Again, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. I'm not okay. I'm I'm very skeptical about those kinds of statements. We're not really going to know how much power this thing has until we get it in our hands, okay? And we still have a couple weeks until we all get it in our hands. So I'm still taking a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt, okay? Cuticores obviously way more. I really don't know much about this, but from obviously what I see from the difference in numbers, like I said, more power obviously. The GPU clocks. Okay, this one makes a little more sense. Obviously, the GPU clock is higher docked. Obviously, the dock has a fan, so to be able to keep the system at a cooler level. It's the CPU that doesn't make any sense to me. Again, somebody might be able to enlighten me, but I'm like, I don't know. The one thing I will say about the clocks, I'm not understanding why the Switch One was clocked so low. Like a lot of people have said that really the Switch One, when it came to the CPU and the graphics, the Switch One could have done more, but Nintendo just didn't allow it. Like it was just clocked so low, and I'm like, I don't understand why. And people are like, well, it's because to preserve battery life, right? Your battery life is only going to be 2 hours or less if you use higher clock speeds. To me, let's be honest. If you're playing a portable console, at least me, whenever I've played a handheld, a lot of the times, about 90% of the time that I'm playing my Switch handheld, I have access to an outlet. If the battery life is 2 hours, really, I don't care a whole lot because usually, like I said, 90% of the time that I'm playing it, I have access to an outlet, or I could just bring some sort of portable charger that's compatible to plug it in. I'm not that big on battery life. Now, if it's like a long road trip, again, you just bring a portable charger. It's 3 gigs of RAM being used by the OS. And this is where I have one of my criticisms. We're getting the same freaking UI that we had on the Switch One, which again, I'm not like it's not making or break it for me. Whatever, it's a little different UI. But really, 3 gigs for the UI that we have for the OS, it really takes 3 gigs. Are you serious? It's the same UI as the Switch One. Now, the reason why I've heard that the OS is using more RAM is because of game chat, and to me, this is this is again my criticism. Really, game chat 3 gigs? If you were to ask me, would you rather have game chat and lose 3 gigs of RAM, or would you rather just not have game chat at all and add that 3 gigs and allocate that back, or at least allocate the majority of, because obviously the OS needs to run and needs some RAM, or would you rather add the RAM that is being used from game chat and add that back into the console? I would say take away game chat. I'm gonna be honest with you. With the Switch 2, I'll probably will use game chat. When I first get the console, just to see how it is, just to have the experience of having a voice chat on a Nintendo console for the first time. But after that, I'm just gonna go back to using Discord. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So I'm like, that's my criticism there. Like, why 3 gigs for game chat, dude? Like, come on. Like, nobody's gonna use game chat realistically. Like, everybody's gonna go back to using Discord, even on the PS5 and Xbox. I don't even use party chat on those anymore. Ever since they integrated Discord on consoles, that's what I use 100% of the time. Like, there's no need for it when there's Discord. Now, my hope would be, my hope would be that that the that Discord could do a partnership with Nintendo. This is me kind of, if we lived in a perfect world, I highly doubt this would happen, but it would be awesome if Discord reached out to Nintendo and be like, "Hey, can we put Discord integration and maybe they might need to use some RAM for that and they can put Discord on a Switch too." That would be great. Okay, then I wouldn't be as mad at that. But I'm like, 3 gigs for game chat, bro. Nobody's going to use game chat. Let's just be honest with each other. Like, nobody's going to use it. Nobody's going to care about that. So, yeah, that's the one thing I'm like, the CPU clocks doesn't make any sense to me. The memory system reservation, I'm like, that's a lot. Seriously, just for game chat? Come on. And then here's another thing that I've been thinking about this week. Okay, especially after my last video that I made, the pricing thing. Everybody's still talking about the pricing thing. Before I even get to it, yes, I'm still excited for the console. I really am. I'm excited to play Mario Kart World. I'm still very excited for it. I've not canceled my pre-order. I'm not going to cancel my pre-order. I already locked it in. It's fine. I think the console is still uh, very fairly priced. The console itself. Now I saw this guy's post, and it kind of did make me think a little bit, about the game prices, and I have expressed my concern about the $80 games. I actually want to read this guy's post because, like I said, he did talk about the console, but again, I think the console is fairly competitively priced. That's just my honest opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. That's fine. Again, if you think the console is too expensive, you're like, I'm not going to buy it. That's completely fine. I'm not going to clown on you for not buying it. You don't want to buy it, it's okay. That's your decision, man. It's your money. Like, we can disagree about the console being fairly priced. It's not the end of the world. Okay, it's all good. $80 games. This is the one that people are really, really, really wondering. Okay, let's read this guy's post real quick. He says, I genuinely have no words for this, but frankly, it was expected. $60 games in 2017 are 78 in 2025 with inflation. A little bit surprised for $80 instead of 70 to reduce outrage. Yeah, I'm surprised about that too. As for why, besides skyrocketing game development costs, Nintendo is in a very unique situation that allows them to be anti-consumer, and frankly, it is best explained over the 6-year-old video. We're not gonna watch the video, but I'll go ahead and link this Reddit post if you do want to watch the video. Decades of consistently of quality titles, excluding spinoffs, resulting in unmatched brand loyalty and pedigree. I mean, yeah, they have. I mean, the Switch library is incredible. I mean, Breath of the Wild, one of the best games I've ever played, one of the best games ever made. Basic psychology makes customers associate a high price with quality. I have mentioned that a little bit about how I feel about that. Yes, some games, for some people, a high price is worth it to them. For personally, for some people, it is worth it. In short, Nintendo keeps their prices high, literally because they can, because they know you'll pay, which absolutely sucks for consumers. Yes, that does. Thing that annoys me the most. Want to know what absolutely bugs me the most is that I could see some games being worth $80. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on this. There are some genuine masterpieces: Elden Ring, The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Mario Odyssey, etc., where I've sunk hundreds of hours and absolutely got my money's worth. I'm expecting some disagreement, though. I am too. Like I said, you can disagree. It's fine. We can disagree. It's not the end of the world. Especially since SBC Gaming leans heavily towards piracy/low income. However, I absolutely despise how corporate greed with just universally labeling everything as $80 when it is absolutely not. Ubisoft games? No effing way. Hell, even Nintendo has released some first party horrendous spin off games. Yeah, it's like some of the Mario sports games, like Mario Sports Superstars or something like that in the 3DS. Garbage game. They're barely worth $30 USD. There is absolutely no way I'm paying $80 for a game like that. And guess what? Guess what they'll do? They'll discount it to 60 and pretend it's a steal. I swear to God, yeah. Nintendo's not the only company that would probably do this. Hobby Lobby is very guilty of doing this. They freaking prices are ridiculous, and they're like, it's 50% off. I'm like, no, the 50% off is the price that it should cost. The importance of gaming handhelds. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I cannot be happier that Retroid and Arboneric I don't know if I said that right, are releasing incredibly more powerful devices for cheap. Oh yeah, these are like the retro gaming handhelds. Yes, they're getting a lot of popularity. In fact, I've kind of been tempted to buy one. As it made the Switch 2 announcement easier to stomach, Nintendo Switch 2 and PS3 emulation keep evolving at a snail pace and are far from ready from prime time. It shows there is hope. Hope for affordable gaming for the masses, and something that completely humiliates Nintendo Switch Online GameCube, offering why they pretend it's a game changer. The only thing that can make better for us is a Steam Deck 2 or even a more affordable gaming PC handhelds under $400 to $500. One can dream. I mean, yeah, the thing is that PC handhelds are still pretty expensive. I mean, the Steam Deck is the most affordable one. Steam Deck 2, I probably see the Steam Deck 2 coming coming out probably in, I would say, maybe 2 to 3 years. I give it 2 to 3 years before the Steam Deck 2 comes out, and that we'll see how it stands next to the Nintendo Switch, and we'll see 2 to 3 years as well. What kind of things developers are able to do with these specs. Um, but I think the Steam Deck, I think Valve has a chance to undercut Nintendo and set if the Steam Deck 2 releases at like $400, that actually might be a really good thing because that's going to incentivize some competition. I'm not against that at all. Okay, I'm not against that at all. That could really bring some competition, and competition really brings excellence. So again, when it comes to the specs, I'm not very knowledgeable on it. The other thing too is that a lot of these games that are on PC handhelds are plain PC builds. They're not built for a PC handheld. So some of these devs are gonna be able to build games that are built specifically for the Switch 2 and using the Switch 2 specs. So I'm curious to see what we see in a couple years with some of the third-party stuff. We always say, Nintendo stuff's gonna look great, but again, with the prices, that's kind of where I'm at. Is it greed? Yes, it definitely is some really shady stuff. I got the bundle because I was like $80. If I can avoid that, I'm gonna avoid it as much as possible. Not paying $80 for a video game yet because I got the bundle. Um, but yeah, I'm in that part that I'm like, it bugs me because I could see some games that are worth that price, but not all, because then there's going to be a lot of trash that it's going to be pushed out that's going to be $80. Here's the thing that does upset me though. Don't be a hypocrite. And what I say by don't be a hypocrite is don't be like, I'm not paying $80 for Mario Kart World. Okay, nobody's telling you to pay $80 for Mario Kart World. But then to be the first person to be like, oh, the pre-order for GTA is out? Oh, how much is it? $100? You're going to be mashing pre-order. You're going to be the first one to do it. Don't do that either. Don't be a hypocrite. But yeah, guys, this is kind of where I'm at. I'm torn. I'm a little torn. I'm still excited, but the prices, I'm like, one thing that I could see happening, and it did happen once, is when the 3DS released, Nintendo did realize that a lot of people weren't buying it, that they could have made more money, and then they're like, okay, let's drop the price and we'll create an ambassadors program, and the people that bought it on day one got some perks and things like that, and they dropped the price. So we could see something like that happen. The chances of that happening are kind of low, but I have hope. I'm still excited again, but we'll just have to see in a couple years how it stands the test of time.